You've been taught to fight, to grind, to push your way into life as if existence owes you only after you've proven yourself through struggle. You've been told that if you work harder, visualize longer repeat affirmations with greater force, or bury yourself in rituals, then maybe the universe will respond. Yet the truth is unsettling, liberating. The more you force, the further real power slips away. Look closely at your life. Think of the moments you begged reality for something. The love you craved, the money you chased, the recognition you thought would finally silence the emptiness. You tried so hard. You poured energy into prayers that sounded like pleading visualizations, filled with quiet doubt mantras whispered in desperation rather than certainty. What happened? The very thing you wanted drifted further away. Not because you were unworthy, because reality itself resists demands made with force. This isn't punishment. It's design. The quantum field never responds to clenched fists. It reflects vibration, not volume. Desperation carries the signal of lack, a confession of not having. The field mirrors that state. It amplifies not desire, but essence. Think of tuning a radio. You can scream at the dial, curse the static cry to the silence between stations. Nothing changes until you match the frequency. No matter how much effort you exert, only resonance matters. Resonance requires no begging. This is where many stay trapped. They confuse intensity with power, mistaking constant struggle for proof of progress. In truth, they broadcast resistance. Resistance cannot create. It corrodes. Look at nature. The sun shines without strain. Flowers bloom without command. Gravity pulls tides without effort. Power reveals itself through flow, certainty, stillness. Why resist this? Why cling to cycles of overwork, of forcing outcomes, of grasping at what should already be yours? Conditioned belief whispers that suffering earns reward, exhaustion proves worth sacrifice, buys miracles. Yet that very belief ensures the miracle remains hidden. Imagine a child demanding love, screaming convinced volume will summon care. The parent has loved them all along. Noise doesn't create the love. It blinds the child to what is already present. You are that child. Reality has always held love, abundance, freedom. To receive you must soften. Effort often disguises fear, fear that without pushing life collapses. Fear that surrender equals weakness. Fear that letting go means losing everything. Yet the paradox is clear power enters only when you release the grip. When you loosen control, you discover the current that was carrying you the entire time. Power is not rare because it demands struggle. It is rare because it requires none. Few dare to stop fighting. Few dare to fall silent enough to feel it. Reality does not block you out of cruelty. It blocks you so you remember truth. Begging is not alignment. Force is not flow. Screaming at the universe echoes scarcity back to you. Real power waits in stillness in the effortless field beyond striving. Until you see through the trap of force, you will chase shadows instead of stepping into the light already beneath your feet. The moment you recognize that force is friction, you begin to sense something underneath it, an invisible hum, a subtle field that never leaves you. This is vibration, not an abstract idea, but the fundamental signature of your being. Every thought sends ripples. Every emotion radiates frequency. Each choice aligns you with worlds you can't yet see. Think of it like standing at the shoreline. Waves reach you not because you order them, but because the ocean breathes. Your inner frequency works the same way. It flows outward. It collides with other fields. It entangles with possibility. Quantum physics has already whispered this truth. Particles separate by space can move in instant harmony, bound by unseen connection. The same principle moves through you. Every pulse of energy you hold within links with a wider network, summoning reflections of itself. This is why effort feels empty. Force announces, I don't trust the field. Effort cries, I must make it happen. Yet the field only echoes that signal, sending back more situations where you feel powerless. Real power arrives when you embody resonance, not resistance. Consider the tuning fork. Strike one, the other begins to sing. Not because it tries, but because vibration travels. Your life is the fork. You vibrate, the universe responds. No rituals needed, only alignment. Yet here's the challenge: your ego despises this. The ego thrives on stories of control, conquest, proof. It wants to claim victory through effort. It wants to say, I earned this by pushing harder. Ego dreads surrender because surrender reveals its illusion. Breaking this illusion feels like death to the ego. You notice how attached you are to the identity built on effort, worker, striver, survivor. You start to see how much energy drains into maintaining that mask. Every time you cling, you reinforce the cage. Yet the cage was never locked. Pause and imagine this: you are standing inside a vast cathedral of frequency. Every thought ignites color in the air. Every belief bends the pillars. You don't move reality by shouting, it shifts when your internal tone changes. It shifts when you stop pressing, stop bargaining, stop begging. Ancient alchemists knew this. They spoke of transmutation of base metals turning to gold. The true gold was never external, it was the inner shift. The lead was human density, fear lacked desperation. Gold was consciousness purified into resonance. Today, quantum science calls it coherence, heart-mind-body, aligning into one signal. That signal shapes matter itself. This is the bridge between quantum physics and awakening. Science says energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Spirit says consciousness creates worlds. Together they reveal a truth most overlook. Transformation happens when you remember you are frequency first, flesh second. Now reflect how much of your daily life radiates coherence, how much radiates static. You scroll through endless feeds absorbing noise. You repeat thoughts that contradict your desires. You carry hidden guilt, silent worry, buried anger. These vibrations broadcast constantly. They become the whispers reality mirrors back. The shift is subtle, yet profound. The moment you honor vibration as primary effort begins to dissolve, you realize the universe has never asked you to struggle. It has asked you to tune, to align, to embody what you seek until the field has no choice but to reflect it. This is where your hidden energy lives, in the subconscious. Patterns you never questioned emit signals stronger than any spoken intention. If you tell the universe, I am abundant, while your subconscious vibrates lack, the field responds to lack. If you affirm love while carrying fear of rejection, the field mirrors fear. That's not failure. That's precision. The field is flawless. It never lies. It only echoes, which means alignment is not about forcing a new outcome. It's about dissolving the old static. Once you do, your life transforms without struggle. Real power does not arrive through accumulation. It arrives through subtraction. You peel away illusions, shed stories, unlearn control. What remains is resonance so clear it magnetizes reality. Understand this deeply. Vibration is prayer. Frequency is command. Coherence is creation. When you stop trying to seize the quantum field, you discover it has already embraced you. This is the effortless rarity. Few walk this path not because it's hidden, but because it's too simple for the ego to accept. The ego wants complexity. Spirit thrives in simplicity. You are learning now to listen, to feel the hum beneath silence, to trust the resonance of your own being as the greatest force of manifestation. No begging required, no effort demanded, only alignment. The deeper you move into this recognition, the more startling the realization becomes. The ego was never the true architect of your life. It only performed as if it were clinging to plans, striving for control, claiming credit for outcomes that were always born of vibration. When you finally see this, the illusion cracks. You begin to sense the ego as a mask, intricate, convincing, heavy. It whispers of survival, constantly warning that without its grip you'll collapse. It thrives on comparison, proving itself through struggle, feeding on friction. Yet beneath it, untouched, waits your essence. Essence does not argue. Essence does not force. It radiates like the steady glow of a star, that does not apologize for its shine. Breaking this illusion is not about violence toward the ego. It is about exposure. You bring light to the mask and it falls away. What you thought was you turns out to be noise layered upon silence. When that noise quiets, something vast stirs within the field you belong to, the intelligence you came from. Imagine a drop of water that forgot it belonged to the ocean. It believed it must fight to exist, evaporate and condense, survive on its own. Yet the moment it remembers the ocean, it realizes it was never separate. The ego is that drop. Your essence is the ocean. Effortless power arrives when you dissolve into the whole rather than cling to the fragment. This is where alchemy becomes a living process. The alchemist taught of transformation through fire, not fire that consumes, but fire that reveals. Ego is lead, dense, heavy, resistant. Essence is gold, luminous, incorruptible, eternal. You are the crucible. Every time you confront illusion and refuse to cling, you perform the alchemical work. The false burns away, leaving what cannot be destroyed. Modern physics echoes the same truth. Particles emerge only when observed. Yet what determines their path is not force, it's probability guided by intention, entangled with unseen variables. In the same way, your reality crystallizes around your internal state. Try to control outcomes through ego, and you collapse into limitation. Align with essence and probabilities, shift toward expansion without effort. There's a quiet rebellion in this. You stop playing the ego's endless games. You stop chasing proof, stop begging for validation, stop trying to manipulate reality like a machine. Instead, you embody coherence. You embody presence. This is the real revolution, choosing to stop feeding illusion. Consider the way sunlight touches a forest. It does not bargain with the trees. It does not strategize to reach every leaf. It simply shines, and every surface capable of receiving receives. Your essence works like this. It radiates naturally, no begging required, no force demanded, only expression. Now you feel the paradox power is not in doing more, it's in dissolving what obstructs. The ego asks, how can I get more light? Essence answers, remove the clouds. Effort was always the cloud thick with fear, a scarcity doubt. Remove it and light pours in. This is why rare power feels effortless. Not because it costs nothing, but because it requires surrender. The surrender to see beyond illusion, the courage to trust a deeper intelligence, the willingness to let essence lead where ego cannot. Few accept this path because it dismantles the very identity they've built. Yet those who do discover what saints, mystics, and sages whispered for centuries, that the kingdom is within the treasure already here, the gold never lost. Your subconscious still guards layers of illusion, patterns of unworthiness, shadows of rejection, scars of scarcity. They vibrate silently, drawing realities to match them. These blocks are not punishment. They are invitations. They are the masks asking to be seen. The field reflects them not to torment you, but to free you. Each trigger, each block, each painful echo of the past is a torch illuminating what remains to be dissolved. To transcend the ego is to walk into this fire willingly, to say yes to the burning away of masks, to allow the discomfort of being stripped of illusions. Every time you release one, you rise lighter, clearer, closer to resonance, until the day comes when the illusion feels almost transparent, and you glimpse life as it truly is, fluid, responsive, luminous. In this space, co-creation becomes natural. You no longer attempt to command the field with desperation. You align with it through presence. You realize the universe is not blocking you. It was only waiting for you to stop begging, stop bargaining, stop doubting your own essence. You reclaim yourself piece by piece until nothing remains to prove, nothing remains to chase. Power flows because resistance has vanished. The ego dissolves into silence. Your essence radiates without effort, rare yet undeniable, like a star in the night sky. Once you've seen through illusion, the landscape of reality shifts. What once looked solid now feels like liquid glass bending under the weight of your vibration. The rules you thought were fixed, linear time, predictable cause-rigid structure reveal themselves as flexible. This is where you begin to discover the bridge, the hidden continuity between quantum physics and spiritual awakening. In the quantum laboratory, particles flicker into being only when witnessed. They exist as waves of probability until an observer collapses them into matter. Spirit has whispered this truth for centuries. What you hold in your awareness becomes flesh in your experience. The bridge between science and spirit is not metaphor, it is mechanism. Awareness shapes form. Consciousness engineers matter. You stand at this threshold daily. Every thought sends a frequency through the field. Every belief encodes itself as energy. Every emotional tone you allow becomes a broadcast, and the quantum field organizes around it. Reality is not resisting you, it is simply obeying the codes you radiate. This is why your essence must lead, not your ego. The ego sends conflicting signals wanting abundance while vibrating with fear, visualizing love while clinging to shame. The field responds faithfully, producing chaos. To awaken spiritually is to purify the signal, to realize that what you transmit must be coherent with what you desire. This is alignment, not words spoken, not affirmations, repeated without belief, but the deep resonance of thought, feeling, and energy unified. When coherence arrives, the field bends easily. Life reshapes itself without effort. Ancient alchemists hinted at this bridge in their symbols. They spoke of marrying heaven and earth, of balancing fire and water, of transmuting lead into gold. These were not merely chemical experiments. They were metaphors for consciousness aligning with the quantum field. Lead was unconscious density. Gold was awakened essence. The philosopher's stone was not an object to be found, but a state to be embodied. When you embody it, your vibration shifts from chaos to harmony, from noise to music. Consider how two tuning forks behave. Strike one, and if the other is in resonance, it begins to hum without being touched. No force required, no pressure applied, just coherence. The field operates in this same way. Your reality hums with the tone you set. You do not wrestle circumstances into submission. You transmit frequency, and matter rearranges itself to match. This is why manifestation feels elusive for most. They focus on surface rituals while ignoring the deeper signal. They try to build skyscrapers on crumbling foundations. Yet when the foundation is coherent, when subconscious energy, conscious thought, and emotional tone align, the skyscraper rises almost effortlessly. Not because the world gave in, but because it was always pliable, waiting for coherence to sculpt it. You may have noticed moments when this bridge flickered alive in your life. Times when synchronicities lined up so seamlessly you couldn't dismiss them as coincidence. Times when a thought seemed to materialize into form almost instantly. Times when you felt a surge of clarity and reality seemed to dance with you, not against you. Those glimpses were not accidents. They were confirmations that the bridge is real, that the field responds. The challenge is to remain in that resonance, to stop slipping back into doubt, fear, effort, begging, to treat each moment as a chance to recalibrate your signal. This requires practice, yes, but not the kind of effort the ego demands. It is more like remembering, more like tuning. Each time you choose coherence over fear, presence over panic, essence over illusion, you strengthen the bridge. You will feel resistance at first because the ego cannot cross this bridge. It dissolves the moment you step onto it. That is why it fights. It warns you that surrender is weakness, that ease is laziness, that trust is foolish. These are not truths. They are defense mechanisms. The ego knows that on the other side it no longer rules. And so it creates noise, throwing doubts into your mind like static in a radio. Yet beyond the static, the music plays. Effortless, clear waiting. The more you tune, the more unmistakable it becomes. This is where spiritual awakening ceases to be abstract. It is not about escaping life. It is about learning the instrument you already are learning to vibrate in harmony with the whole. The bridge stands before you now. One foot rests in the quantum field, the other in your daily existence. You are the connection point. Your body, mind, and heart are are the circuitry through which infinity expresses into form. When you honor this, life becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about listening, aligning, transmitting. Effortless power is rare, not because it is hidden, but because so few choose to walk the bridge. Yet the ones who do discover that reality itself was never heavy. Only the illusions were. When you cross fully onto the bridge, the old story collapses. The tale of struggle, of grinding effort, of chasing what always runs faster than you, it dissolves like mist in the sun. What remains is a realization so simple, it feels almost insulting to the ego. Real power is effortless. Not passive, not lazy, not indifferent, effortless. Like the tide pulling the moon, like roots drinking from underground rivers, like galaxies spiraling without strain. You are made of the same law. The pulse that keeps stars alive is the pulse that keeps your heart alive. That pulse does not struggle. It does not beg. It does not barter. It simply radiates. And because it radiates, worlds form. When you remember this, you stop chasing what was never running. You stop clawing at doors that were never locked. You realize manifestation isn't about summoning what is absent. It's about stepping into resonance with what has always been present. This is where ancient alchemy reveals its final secret. The work was never about turning metal to treasure. It was about turning illusion to truth. The great work was the inner transmutation, the remembering that matter responds to spirit, that perception molds reality, that what you are vibrates outward until the whole universe mirrors it. Think of it as a mirror. Stand before it frowning, it reflects a frown. Stand before it smiling, it reflects a smile. You would never blame the mirror for showing you your own face. Yet in life, people scold reality for reflecting their subconscious tone. They demand the mirror to smile first. They forget that the mirror only answers what it receives. The quantum field is that mirror. Neutral, honest, exact. The energy you hold becomes the reality you meet. Real power flows when you understand this law. You no longer waste energy begging reality to change. You refine your own signal. You quiet the noise of fear. You release the density of resistance. You embody coherence. And then the reflection shifts. Without force, without friction, without fight. This is why it is rare. Because the ego craves credit. It wants to say, I built this with sweat, I earned this with strain, I proved myself through pain. Effortless power offers no trophy to the ego. It leaves no scars to point at. It simply flows quiet, undeniable, beyond justification. It does not glorify the warrior's wounds. It glorifies the creator's resonance. You will know you are touching this power when life feels lighter, when synchronicities stitch themselves into your days like hidden threads, when opportunities arrive without your chasing, when your presence feels magnetic not because you forced charisma, but because your coherence broadcasts so cleanly the world can't help but tune to it. The culmination is this. You don't manifest through effort, you manifest through essence. What you are echoes louder than what you want. The field bends to your frequency, not your plea. Effortless power is simply alignment without distortion. Rare not because it is complex, but because so few surrender the struggle long enough to feel it. So here is your invitation. Make it a practice. Begin small. Each morning before you move, listen to your own field. Ask yourself, what frequency am I radiating right now? Is it coherence or static? Is it trust or tension? Is it essence or ego? Then choose one adjustment, one subtle shift. Maybe you slow your breath. Maybe you remember gratitude before fear. Maybe you align your body posture to openness instead of defense. Tiny actions, but they retune your whole broadcast. Build a checklist if you must: awareness, coherence, surrender, resonance. These are not chores, they are permissions. Permissions to let reality flow the way it always wanted to. As you refine, you will notice less need for rituals, less hunger for proof, less fear of losing. Instead, you become an anchor for effortless power. I want to leave you with this. In the comments, share one word that captures the energy you're choosing to embody after this journey. It could be clarity, it could be surrender, it could be flow. Let that word be your quantum seed, a small but potent broadcast into the field. And if this journey spoke to you, if it reminded you of something you always knew but had forgotten, subscribe. Not as a transaction, but as participation. This is not just a channel. It is a gathering place for those daring enough to remember that power is not struggle. Power is resonance. You are not alone in this remembering. Each word, each presence here, each shift adds to the coherence of the whole. When you step into effortless power, you don't just transform your life, you strengthen the symphony of all life. Carry this with you. The universe does not reward effort. It reflects essence. Real power is effortless. That is why it is rare.